arcade
or like thinly veiled in any way. They're just like, fuck you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely be hitting on more on that later on in the show today.
Yeah, for sure.
A new division of Sony called Unties is going to be publishing games for other systems such as PC and Switch. Tiny Metal is the first to be announced, along with 3 other projects, 2 of which are listed as being for PC/to be announced, which I assume will mean Switch eventually.
I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal. You know, the fact that Sony would start to be moving out of their own wheelhouse. And
So are we going to get the Halo on the Switch?
I'm sorry, what?
Holy hell. What company makes Halo?
Sony? The Unties.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I'm lost.
What are you fucking doing?
Halo? Is
What are you
Xbox?
doing?
What games does Sony make nowadays? Because I don't really remember of any.
Yeah, we're going to get Uncharted for Switch.
Why are first of all, why are you whispering today?
Why?
Yeah. I keep having to fucking move the fucking volume of your mic. I'm just taking your fucking mic away. Forget it. You got to go back to yelling.
Oh, okay.
I'm
comfortable with that.
Well,
Great. We're happy you're comfortable. Anyway, so yeah.
what the fuck? What was that?
I don't know what just happened. I'm lost. Sony developing for other systems. Let's reset here. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the company that has now been the one basically called out for not doing cross-play
Yeah.
is, they say they're going to develop for other systems, one of their subsidiaries.
Well,
how long has it been since they've done that?
Listen, in that like 2.5 minutes of complete retardation, there was one.
Correct.
There was one good question in there, and that is, what does Sony even make anymore? What does Sony directly develop? You know, they do oversee a couple of good franchises. Legend of Dragoon is one of them that I can think that Sony developed themselves. Another, I mean, they do. Every once in a while they do projects, but I can't. I'm trying to think of another like Sony directly made. Death Stranding is Sony.
Yeah.
Is a Sony project.
How long ago was Legend of Dragoon?
That was
Years
PlayStation
now,
1,
yeah.
but they've been brewing about a remake for years. So that's, I mean, you know, if they have a wider distribution plan, maybe. I don't know. Like, that's the thing, is I can't actually name that many franchises that Sony develops directly.
Yeah, I mean, they so many of their games are third party. I mean, what, 95% of what comes out for PlayStation 4 is third party?
Yeah. I mean, yes, made with Sony's help.
Sure.
You know, like but I'm trying to think, like, because you just, before a lot of Sony games, you see the Sony Interactive thing come up, and I'm trying. I know that there's a few, and there's some good ones, but I can't think. I can't, like, nothing's coming to mind.
Well, maybe that kind of says it all, is that nothing's really coming to mind. Because like when you mention like Crystal Dynamics, you know, immediately you're all over some of the games that they've made. Or you mention Naughty Dog, you've got a bunch of them done to mind. Sony developed titles? Not really. I've thought of them as a hardware maker forever.
Well, yeah.
God of War, thank you, Dad. There you go.
Or a publisher. Obviously, they publish a lot of stuff too. I think though the biggest thing out of here, especially after talking about this, the 50 Xbox units per week metric. Like if I'm Microsoft and I'm already having problems with people buying my consoles, and now I hear that my biggest, most successful competitor is, in essence, kind of going to be like helping push the little guy, because we always look at Nintendo as being like, the outlier of them, even though, yes, they do perform better than Microsoft. Like, we already talked about how, they're getting games like Doom's coming. We have Wolfenstein 2 is coming to the Switch as well. Like, they're starting to get games that are rivaling Xbox. Like, games that I would buy on the Switch over the Xbox.
Hang on, this is actually kind of the second time this week that we've talked about this, because now we're back at SIE, because Sony's publishing arm, game publishing arm, is SIE worldwide.
And that's the thing, is they own so many different companies.
And they do. And there are so many different companies that sort of publish on, underneath them. You've got Japan Studio, which is everything from Ape Escape to Legend of Legaia to Rogue Galaxy. I'm just looking here. Knack. Bloodborne was part of that. You know what I mean? Like
they've got a lot of good titles under their name.
Yeah, Legend of Dragoon was one that they list under their Japan Studio.
Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank. And the thing is you got to look first party too, because they've got a lot of second party. But Naughty Dog is first party under them. Crash Bandicoot, Jak and Daxter, Uncharted, Last of Us. You've got Ben Studio, San Diego Studio, which is MLB The Show, NBA Series,
they
Mod
have their
Nation
fingers
Racer.
in a lot of pies.
They do. And the fact that some of these could start coming to other platforms. Sucker Punch Studios, which is responsible for the Sly Cooper series and the Infamous series. I think Sly Cooper on the Switch would be fucking awesome.
That would be awesome.
It would be so
right
good.
at home.
Right. Like and we know that Sony is not shy about republishing titles and republishing stuff that they've worked on. There's a lot of potential here.
I guess my biggest question is, I feel like this would benefit Nintendo more than it would Sony, don't you think?
I think it would. I don't know about that.
Unless they're looking at giving certain games a different life. Like they recently did a Sly Cooper 4 that I don't know how well received it was, right, on the PS4.
Right.
But when you look at, how the Switch targets, families and younger audiences, it would probably do a lot better on the Switch.
That's the thing is, like, the Switch does kind of hit a different demographic. I mean, there's a lot of overlap, but it is a fundamentally different demographic that you're going for with a Switch. It might do them real well to release some of their games on that system.
And again, the story said that they're looking to publish for the Switch and for PC.
PC, yeah. With
Microsoft. Microsoft's not on there. I think you have the greatest crossover there, with Microsoft. I think that we're talking about taking some of these long-standing Sony exclusive franchises and branching them out. There's only and if you think about it, Sony has waited as long as they possibly fucking can to do this, right? They've got some Sony exclusive classics reaching all the way back to their first system, PlayStation 1, that have never been made available on any other platform.
You know what else?
And now they have look at what Square Enix has been able to do with republishing their old games for fucking PC. This is just gonna print money for Sony. I think that this is going to be a remake factory at first.
Yes, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that Sony's probably using Nintendo more so than the other way around. Because imagine, we talk about how many games, because of the development costs, that they don't quite make what they want to. You look at a game, let's say it's not sold enough, we need just a little bit more to eke out a profit. All right, let's put it out on the Switch now.
But to your point though is also we're at a point where hardware is good enough among all three of these systems, including the Switch, which is also mobile, that you could run PlayStation 3 games on a Switch pretty easily. I mean, I really do think that publishers are going to start seeing the Switch as presenting the biggest opportunity to republish games, because and the thing is to readdress your question about who this benefits more. Does it benefit Sony or does it benefit Nintendo? I got to tell you, just knowing that, and if they put a plan out in the public, like, this is what we're going to do, we're going to start bringing PlayStation 1 classics to a variety of different hardwares, including PC and the Switch, that does increase the value of getting a Switch. Like, that suddenly
enormously
takes owning a Switch and really gives it supreme value. And I also think that may be Sony conceding the handheld market.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the reasons that I want to get Vita, if they announce that, then basically
it's done.
I want to get a Switch instead. I don't need a Vita.
It's fucking done. There's no reason to get a Vita.
Yep.
And from Nintendo's standpoint too, you gotta be kind of thrilled, because at the end of the day, one of the major complaints around your Switch was, where are the games? And while they have gone to great lengths to start addressing that, and they really have, this would really close that gap.
But it was made abundantly clear by the Wii U that Nintendo cannot be the only one Because if they are the only one, it will crumble and it will fail. Because that's essentially what happened with the Wii U.
Yeah, it started off strong, and there was not enough support
there was so
software.
little third-party development that it took Sony's intellectual properties to prop up the system to even not even like break even or do well, but I mean to just even be passable as a system. And look at how quickly they've moved off
They
of it.
forked over a huge bag of money to Platinum Angels to make Bayonetta 2 a Wii U exclusive because they needed it.
Right. Now, listen, I don't want to be called the Alex Jones of of the video game world. I mean,
all right. What are you gonna go with, Captain InfoWars?
but I have a little bit of a conspiracy to put out here.
Oh boy, here we go.
Do you think that maybe among the big three gaming manufacturers that there might be a little bit of market collusion going on here? Because if Sony's dropping their hardware or their handheld hardware, it means that Nintendo has literally no competition. Sony's also making moves to be able to publish for the only handheld market that's left, which is Nintendo's. So Sony is essentially conceding the handheld market to Nintendo, and there's not that much overlap between, like there's not that much overlap appeal for the Switch as a console as it exists.
As like a direct competitor to PS4 and Xbox One.
Right.
Yeah.
But so it's more seen like, I think by Switch owners that is more seen as like a side function or an additional bonus, like a really good way, a very effective way to be able to do remote play on your handheld, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to the core function of the system, which is a little bit more handheld. Am I right or am I wrong?
No,
about that?
I can definitely see that happening because, and whether or not there's any actual collusion going on, it already starts to look like they're sort of taking control of where they're strongest. Obviously Nintendo has their handheld market on lock. Sony has, as far as consoles go, is by and far the king, and really Microsoft is even kind of screwing themselves with this whole buy a game, get it for both PC and Xbox One, right? So Microsoft kind of has the PC market there.
Well,
but
it's I don't know if it's necessarily collusion, but it's the same sort of shit that you see with like cable companies.
Yes.
And where they purposely don't compete with each other because they realize like, wait a minute, there's
more
pie
money.
is big enough.
Exactly. There's more money to be made if we're not competing with each other.
Exactly.
That's a remarkably good point. Would that I don't know that would necessarily be that unfair, because at least at first, a lot of those decisions are going to seem really consumer friendly, right?
At first,
what? Yeah.
Eventually, they'll be like Comcast.
Maybe,
or they could be. That's
I
one
don't
possible
know.
ending.
Well, I think that's a valid concern. It's a valid concern. But the thing is I think that there is some real opportunity there where if gaming companies stopped looking at their old games and just publishing them to their own systems and looked at taking their old software and publishing it across a range of different hardwares, that is very consumer friendly, at least at first, right? Like
right.
I don't have anywhere where I'm going with this where I have like a future dire warning. But the thing is it does seem like there is a little bit of like like synergy or something that is shaking out. And I think E3 this year might be really, really interesting to find out.
I want to see a Sony executive give a presentation at the Nintendo Direct Treehouse.
Listen, man, I think when Ubisoft and Nintendo did kind of their joint project and everyone was really, really receptive to that, that opened up, I think, a lot of possibilities here.
People are almost tired of the competition at this point, of the whole the console wars.
Yes.
Like, if I have to hear the word console wars again, I'll be sick.
At least it was a real war back in Nintendo and Sega days.
But here's the thing. I think what people have gotten past is, look, compete in your current generation and widen the amount of devices that I can play older stuff on. Like if Square Enix's business model has proved anything, it's that people do want to play your old games, but they definitely don't want to have to be locked into playing them on maybe their PlayStation 4s, right? Like they want a variety of different options to be able to play them on. And again, I do think that Sony has already kind of conceded the handheld market with the way that they're not really supporting the Vita at all with software anymore. And so to take the next step and go, okay, well, we're actively going to take titles that we would have thought did well on the Vita and now develop them for the Switch or redevelop them for the Switch. I think that's a remarkably smart idea on Sony's part. And if that's what they're doing, man, I think that's great, but again, just ready to be spending more money on it because, you're going to have to rebuy all of that shit.
And you're also right. We do need to, put out there that we don't know if this is what Unties is going to do. This just seems like the logical conclusion.
Right, yeah. We are connecting dots where there are not necessarily dots. But that's why I prefaced it by saying I don't want to be the Alex Jones of gaming because I might be lying right now.
Can you tell us how the Switch is going to further the homosexual agenda?
Yeah, because you can put those
rooftop parties.
Because you can put those Joy-Cons in your butt.
That too.
That's how
they are
because they are undercover sex toys for the gay agenda
and rooftop parties.
Dear God,
I mean, only gays go to rooftop parties, right? Am I right? You've been to rooftop parties, right?
I'm not going to.
He's not attractive enough to go to a rooftop party.
Oh, rude. Tencent has released a new game that is strangely Orwellian. In the game,